So one of the other things that's really important when medicating, whether it be a copper-based medication or antibiotics, is you have to remove the carbon out of the system. Carbon, which is a much better version of charcoal, is used to remove colors and odors from the water. It's also very effective at removing chlorine, heavy metals, things such as copper. And so you have to remove the carbon out of the system. Otherwise, you're just wasting the medication because it's going to remove it as fast as you're putting it in. This, being what we call a commercial bio-wheel system, has a carbon pillow that sits across the top of that big, large bio-wheel. We're going to remove that so that we don't end up removing the medication. We can always bring a new carbon pillow next service that we come.
Once we've completed the medication process or have decided to intentionally remove the copper-based medication from the system, we'll reintroduce a new carbon pillow with fresh activated carbon. That'll help remove the medication from the system.
The protein skimmer won't have an effect on the copper-based medications, but there are some medications that the protein skimmer will interfere with, either by driving it out of the system via the protein skimmer, or just eliminating it through that whole fractionation process. So read those directions carefully. Additionally, ultraviolet sterilizers will have an effect on medications. A lot of medications are somehow bound or binded chemically together, and an ultraviolet sterilizer will somehow eliminate that bond, thus eliminating kind of a time-released aspect of it and allowing that copper to go into the system immediately. So read the directions, follow those directions, but the only suggestion I would make is go in half-dose increments. Ultimately, you want to reach the full dose limit, but do it in half-dose increments.
And now that we've cleaned the inside of the tank, removed the dirty coral decorations, and vacuumed the gravel by extracting 20 gallons of water out of the tank, it's time to carry in 20 gallons of new salt water, real ocean water in this particular case. We'll pour in 5-gallon jugs at a time, straight through the top of the tank. This tank is serviced weekly and has been for the last 13 years. I change out that 20 gallons every week. So 10% of this tank weekly or 40% of it monthly is exchanged out with new salt water. The fish in this tank are fed quite well. With the high volume of food, not only do the fish grow fast, but there's a lot of debris that's left in the system. So the 40% a month or 20 gallons every week is not out of line. It helps me keep up with the nutrient level in the tank. You've seen from past episodes that this tank has had a slight algae problem, and that is, in the long term, the results of the amount of food that goes in there. And as I mentioned, not only do the fish grow fast, they grow quite large in this tank. You may recall the large clown trigger we had once before, or the large Miniatus grouper, as well as the dinner plate size French angel that we had before. And if I remember right, even prior to that, there was a dinner plate size Koran angelfish. And now that we've completed the water change, replenished that water, and have the system back up and running, we can now put the coral decorations back in place. As with most fish guys, I believe this is the most fun at this point of servicing the aquarium. This is the artistic part. This is the expression part. This is the part where you try to portray what you believe the bottom of the ocean will look like. So now that we've completed the maintenance or the servicing of this tank, we can now add the medication. Now what I want to stress is we're going to ultimately add the prescribed amount. We're just going to do it at a slower pace. If it says 10 drops, you're going to add 5 now and 5 more at the end of the day, so that at the end of the day, you've added 10 drops. We just want to raise the level a little bit slower, be a little bit more gentle to the fish, allow them to adjust to that medication as well. And with all the tasks completed, including adding the medication, we'll now go ahead and replace the lids and go ahead and drop the lights. This is the tank that has those nifty cabinet doors that have what are called tot locks on the back side of them. There is no hinge, it's a simple magnetic latch and requires a magnetic button to unlatch them. And we can now start cleaning up after ourselves by starting with the utility pad and rolling it up and then carrying the ladder, the empty jugs, and the service buckets back out to the van. And in closing, and just to clarify, what we discussed here was treating parasites with copper-based medications, and my suggestion for adding that medication in small or half doses, ultimately reaching the level that you want. Always, though, go with the manufacturer-suggested levels.